This year we had Larson and DiCaprio win the Academy Award. Next year we'll have fucking Butler and Woodley for the Razzies. Yeah. So let's talk about Allegiant. Right off the bat, this movie isn't very good. I'm just going to kind of tell you this right now. So let's do this quickly as possible. Some good, some bad things, right? Right off the bat, there are some decent action scenes in this movie, and they actually do kind of come off as intense, and it really sometimes do give you a sense of danger. Some of them do come off a little bit as cheesy because of the slow motion aspects or whatever it may be, and they're really trying to force that love thing on you for the most part, and it does kind of come off a little bit as cringeworthy. But for the most part, the things that make these scenes kind of so intense goes to the next positive, really, is just that the musical score, right? The musical score overall as a whole is pretty great in this movie, and I didn't think it would actually be that good, but for some reason it actually really does work. It adds to the tension, it adds to the atmosphere, and it really does give the movie a sense of style pretty much in the film. Now, overall, the acting in this film series has never really been fantastic. You already know that. Quite frankly, the dialogue has been shit all the way through until this one, and that doesn't really change. Now, granted, Theo James continues to be a very shitty actor, but I guess the women like him, and I can't really say anything about that. Shailene Woodley, she's a star, but unfortunately her star is fading and it's starting to fall, because unfortunately the series really did nothing for her career, unlike Kristen Stewart, which, whether you like it or not, that did something for her career. Twilight, same thing for Hunger Games for Jennifer Lawrence, it did something for her career. This really didn't do anything for her career, and I don't think it's going to change. Now, look, Shailene Woodley, she's good, but unfortunately the writers feel like they don't really have anything to do for her. And that kind of goes for everybody in this movie. Miles Teller, he said it before, he really didn't want to be in this franchise. He just kind of got locked in, and you kind of see it on his face that he really doesn't want to be here either. And sometimes you do kind of feel sorry for Miles Teller, unfortunately, but he's still unlikable and whatever it may be. Now, look, those two guys deserve better, and so does the veterans like Octavia and Jeff Daniels and Ian Watts. They do a good enough job, and they make the bad material actually seem like it's decent material because they're that big of a deal. So while watching this, like I said, there are some interesting aspects to the film. The sense of discovery and finding the new world is interesting, but unfortunately, it just kind of comes off as lazy. By the time this film series really kind of wraps up its end, you're not really going to remember it, because at the end of the day, this film series always kind of felt like a second-rate young adult novel. Even when they had competition for Hunger Games or even Twilight or whatever, it just felt like it wasn't good enough. It was always just kind of like a substitute, and it still feels like a substitute even though there's no competition going around. I feel like the series really never struck a stride with anyone, really, and it just kind of came across as a little bit lazy. It didn't really add too much. But for this movie particularly, like I said, the writing does kind of come across as very bad. The direction is decent for the most part, and I do think the visual aspect of the world is actually probably one of the better parts of the movie. Unfortunately, by the time this movie does end, it just kind of gets a little bit lazy. Now, Jeff Daniels, he's good in the movie, but unfortunately, he doesn't do too much. Maggie Q, or whatever her name is, right? Maggie Q, she's in this movie. Now, guess, what she does in this movie. If you read the books, you probably understand what she does. And the thing is, when this movie feels like it really doesn't have anything to do in here, it really does kind of go back to the books. Because I did look up the books to know what I'm talking about. So the books pretty much, as from what I heard, a lot of people say they don't really do shit in the books. It's pretty much just almost an empty thing until, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1, Trish dies. So I'm just wondering, are they just kind of building this up till she dies? And eventually, another spoiler, it's an experiment. So therefore, it's just like, okay. Now, that's the thing with this movie. There's a lot of information kind of given, but none of it really given with any explanation. Some things just kind of happen. A lot of characters do things without even having any explanation. I can fly a plane. I can do this. Well, we never knew you can do that. And a lot of things just kind of keep on going. Now, look, I'm just going to say this right now. This is pretty shitty. This is a pretty bad movie. And the first 30 minutes are actually quite entertaining. And it's probably only because of those 30 minutes and some of the good actors that I'm a fan of that I really care to go to the end. But by the time it ends, it just kind of ends so lazily to the point where you realize, yeah, they're just setting up the finale, and that's kind of all it is. And it just leaves you with like, wow, that's it. That's all you're offering for us right now. And sadly, that's not really a good thing. But yeah, that's my review, right? Comment, subscribe, and like. I'm Chris Smith, and I'm signing.